Hey guys, today we're going to be doing the subframe locking collars on this Mark V Rabbit behind us. These apply to the Mark V and Mark VI as long as it has the aluminum subframes. We're doing these to keep the subframe from shifting and causing unwanted noises or clunks, and also it could cause self-steer. So by installing these locking collars, we're going to lock the subframe down tight and it won't be able to move at all. Here's the ECS Subframe Locking Collar Kit. It comes with the locking collars, obviously, and all of the hardware that you need because it's all one-time use, so it all needs to be replaced and torqued to spec. So you don't need too many tools for this job. What you do need is a 1/2-inch torque wrench, a 1/2-inch ratchet, an extension of some sort. It should be about 6 inches is going to be your best bet to get to the front bolt on the subframe. I used a 4-inch 1/4-inch extension, a 1/4-inch ratchet, a 18mm socket. It doesn't have to be a deep well, it just happened to be what I grabbed, a T25 and a 4mm Allen. Okay, you may notice in the PDF that it has you remove these 4 bolts. We didn't have to remove those when we did it, so we left them in. It's not going to hurt anything to replace them while you're there. We just didn't have to, so we chose not to do it. The first step is obviously going to be removing this skid plate we got here. This is one of our street shields, and as you can see, it's taken quite a few hits. So these are highly recommended and they do their job very well. If you want to get one for your car, there'll be a link in the description. And I'm going to go ahead and start taking it off. Alright, so I'm going to loosen the 3 bolts that attach the subframe to the body on this side, and then we should be able to lower it down with the pull jack enough to sneak the collars in the top without dropping the subframe all the way. So we took those bolts out and it's still tight, so we're going to take these 3 out and let them down just a little bit just so the subframe can drop and cock enough. Hopefully we can fit the collars in. And after loosening these bolts just enough that we can drop this down, we can lower the pull jack down, and that should give us enough clearance to be able to snake those collars in. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll move the pull jack to the other side, have these bolts started, have this side drop down, snake the collars in, and then we'll put all the bolts in and torque them to spec. So we got the subframe dropped down far enough to put the collars in. When you go to put the new collars in, there is upper and lower. The lower one has a completely flat side. The upper one has a tang, like a guide dowel that sticks down. Make sure you put them in the right place. The flat one is the lower. And that's one side installed on the uppers. And I'll move the pull jack to the center here, so I'm actually going to be able to take these bolts all out also and lower it down as one. But I'm going to start these bolts right now after I put the lowers in, just to kind of keep it centered as much as possible. When you're installing this, you're going to notice that when you took it out, there was a bolt that looks like this. It's a shear bolt. It is replaced by the bolt that comes in the same package as the collars. There's 2 bolts that come with the collars, and that will be the ones that replace this. And the location is the rearmost bolt of the subframe. Remember, this is the bolt that goes in the rear. It's a different color than the other bolts. Literally jumped right into place. So I got all the collars installed, all the bolts are in finger tight, and I'm going to go around and tighten them with this ratchet loosely, and then I'll come back and torque them all down. so I have all those hand tight now. We can go ahead and remove the pull jack, and then I'm going to grab the torque wrench and torque all these down. It's all 70 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. All right, so there is no torque sequence on these. Like I said before, it's 70 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and do the 70 Newton meters on them first, and then we'll come back and do 90 degrees. I like to do this side, then the other side, and then go diagonally from there. There is no sequence, like I said. That's just the way I like to do it. All right, so luckily it's 90 degrees, so it's pretty simple to do. Sometimes when you get the different degrees, it's kind of hard to figure out without a torque wrench. This, we're going to use a regular 1/2-inch wrench, and we're going to go just 90 degrees. So we're going to start straight. Go. So everything's all torqued. We're going to do an alignment on this car. We recommend doing an alignment, obviously, because you just lowered the subframe and it didn't go back to the same place it was probably. One cool thing about these collars is now that if you have to drop the subframe, it should go right back to the same place because there's no slop. You have the centering collars in there. So there will be a link in the description for the subframe locking collar kit that we used. Like, comment, and subscribe for more content.